All right. TikTok, time to rock. I think. Guys, we are having, let me see if we come on here first. We are having some technical difficulties here. All right. I see our faces here. All right, guys, we are having some technical problems. Namely, I have never had two people on video Skype before that I am aware of. All right, turn your audio off. Who's got audio playing?
Not me.
Not I.
It's probably you, bro.
All right.
Maybe.
So the situation is I haven't had two people on, and when we set up for Skype, it was doing something weird on Ecamm, which is the program I use. Namely, whenever one of these guys would speak, it would replicate him, and then there would be two vocabs or two Johns, which is way, way too much of either one of these guys. And then all of a sudden it stopped, so I don't know what the situation here is. I don't know how long it's going to work, but guys, just be aware, we may have some technical difficulties because, again, I've never done this before, and ever since I even started, it's been a bunch of problems working right now. People are saying had a technical problem because of a gin. All right, John and Vocab, I'm going to need you guys to talk a little bit so that I can adjust your audio levels. And matter of fact, this is a good time. Vocab, why don't you talk a bit about the real-life inspiration from this series? Because lots of people still don't realize that this is kind of based on a true story.
This is true. And in fact, recently on my channel, I did an upload where I did an interview exactly about the real situation. Let me tell everybody what it is. I think the date is May 3rd, 2015. So this is not only the 1 year anniversary of Islamicize Me, but the Curtis Caldwell Center attack, which is what it's sometimes called in the media, happened May 3rd, 2015. So we're about 4 years away from when this attack happened. That is partially incorporated into the storyline of Islamicize Me. So I knew a man from a variety of things here in Phoenix, Arizona. Part of it was sort of incidental, happened to do with the place we worked at the time. The other part was because I was heavily involved with evangelism to Muslims at a specific mosque. And so I would frequently run into this man. His name was Elton Simpson. The reason why I say is because he died in jihad trying to murder Robert Spencer when they did the cartoon drawing contest there in Garland, Texas, him and Pamela Geller. Elton Simpson and another man named Nadir Sufi drove all the way from Phoenix, Arizona, my city, to Texas to try to kill as many people as they could at the Curtis Caldwell Center there in Texas. But the organizers were aware there might be some problems, so they hired some security, and the two men were killed actually right beside their car, meaning they basically got out, exchanged some fire, injured a guard briefly, but they died. They died on the spot. So it was a real tragic case because I knew Elton, and I wrote a blog about it right after. And I didn't think anybody was going to pay attention or pick it up.
You were on the news after that.
I was on CNN, and I got interviewed by multiple other media accounts. Some of them I never was able to track down and download or anything like that, but I got interviewed by the Associated Press, by a local Fox affiliate, by CNN. That was the major one that's the one you can find the transcript to the easiest, because that CNN anchor is from Los Angeles, and she's pretty prominent. Mm-hmm. So I was on the news for several days. They just kept on talking to me. Mainly they wanted to know what motivated Elton to do that, and I just basically explained his theology. And they kept on using words like radical and militant, and I said, look, Elton was a kind, gentle person. And before you guys say, well, what do you mean? I'm talking about his demeanor. I'm talking about the way he acted. He was a cool guy, actually. I'm not saying what he did was cool. I'm saying in my interactions with him, he was a certain kind of way. But I saw him go from a serious student of Islam to a more serious student of Islam to a more serious student of Islam. Obviously, you understand where I'm going, this progression. That's what changed, sort of this more very, and the imam there at the mosque here in Phoenix was trained there in Egypt at one of the most prominent schools in really all of Islam academia, and was considered a master of hadith. And I'm not saying that he directly said go do jihad, but the brand of Islam, the very conservative brand of Salafi Islam that he was preaching on a regular basis, definitely was in Elton's head, because Elton looked up to this man and he would quote him, and this man promoted a very, very conservative version. In fact, last thing I'll say about this is I told him how I did an apologetics radio show, and sometimes I criticize Islam on the airwaves. I said to Elton, I said, look, he went by Ibrahim, by the way. I never actually knew him as Elton. I knew him as Ibrahim. But I said, look, I do this radio show. What do you think of that? He's like, oh, well, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. In a faithfully Islamic country, that show wouldn't be on the air. And I said, why not? He said, look, if you knew something was poisonous, would you let it be distributed to the population, or would you try to stop it? You try to stop it. It's just a rational thing that a government should do. And if you're criticizing Islam that's poisonous, that shouldn't be allowed on the air. And I said, man, this should be recorded. I said, this conversation should be recorded, because I don't think a lot of people know that this is the face of Islam. He's like, yeah, this is the true face of Islam, not all those. And then he proceeded to make fun of Sufis. So we incorporated that storyline, and John's character sort of, I think, wait, how did we have it laid out?
Yeah.
Because there's only two guys, right? It was supposed to be John as sort of Elton. Right?
Yeah. Well, there are two people who died. There was a third. It was three guys. It was three guys in the plot. One of them was supposed to join them on the day of the attack, but backed out. So two of them went on, and Elton Simpson and the Sufi guy, they both died in the attack, and so those were John's characters and my character, respectively. So Vocab, what you're saying is this guy is just naturally a pretty nice guy, but somehow studying Islam, he became convinced that the greatest thing he can do is kill people for Allah. And guys, notice that's what happens in the series, right? That's what happens in Islamicize Me. You start off with three guys who are talking and joking, and a couple weeks later they're ready to kill. And notice the point of the series: we're going to kill Robert Spencer. So that's what all of this is based on. So anyway, John. So I see why I wanted to do this series. I'm interested in responding to Islam, to Muhammad's teachings, to exposing them. I've had lots of Muslim friends over the years and so on, and I just see this as a very dangerous ideology that needs to be confronted. I see why Vocab is willing to be in this series. It's weird. I know two guys. I know two guys in Phoenix who knew both of the jihadis who died that day. So Vocab knew Elton, and I know another one. I'll be interviewing Vocab and another guy together, because they were talking to both of the Muslims who died that day. And so anyway, I understand why we're involved in this sort of thing. Why? In the name of common sense. You're an apologist. You're primarily interested in like atheism and cultural issues, and yet you signed on to be in Islamicize Me. What were you thinking?
Yeah, so for me, it's about the cause, man. So I do have like strong feelings towards, especially like this whole thing with people trying to crack down on free speech, and then the way that Islam, a lot of Islam apologists and stuff will kind of like bully culture into silence and stuff like that. So that's really what kind of drove me to like want to be a part of it, because I think it's something worth fighting for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And guys, that's an important point to make about whatever your interest is in Islam. Something that should interest all of us is this issue of free speech and progressively taking away speech rights. And that should be something that unites anyone who wants to talk about anything. Always beware. Always beware of the people who want to shut down speech. I see some people, Vocab, saying they still miss your mustache. Just so everyone knows.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Mario.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Those are my true friends and true supporters, the people that said that.
True friends don't let you wear that mustache.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunately for them, Vocab is not going to have that mustache for a long time because we're working on a new series where he's going to be Muhammad for a long series of videos. So anyway, there'll be more on that later. Anyway, for those of you who are just tuning in right now, if you haven't seen Islamicize Me, the link is in the description box. But basically, inspired by true events, we wanted to show how the radicalization process works, how someone goes from basically nice guy to ready to kill people, and how this can happen very, very quickly. But we wanted to do it in a way that really shows how dumb it is if you look at if you actually look at Muhammad's teachings. So one of the things we wanted to do here is I wanted to show a deleted scene. Now, guys, there are several scenes that didn't actually make it into the final cut. One of the reasons being we lost one of the SD cards until we were like a week away from finishing, and I found an SD card. Most of the episodes of Islamicize Me weren't affected because we were recording with multiple camera angles. So even though we lost some scenes on one, I couldn't find the SD card. It was wedged into the edge of a camera bag. But we were still able to post the videos because we had multiple camera angles. But there were some things that required, in fact, there's an entire missing episode, which we'll post one day. But that was an episode where you definitely needed multiple camera angles because the way we had to edit it was going to require multiple camera angles. But we also have deleted scenes. We're going to play a deleted scene right now. And this one was on the lost SD card, and I got it back, and I thought about including it later in the series, like, because it was already too late for what I had intended to use it for. We wanted to use it later in the series, but I realized the clip was massively overexposed. So for a lot of the series, we actually had professional cameramen helping us record. And then once we all wrapped up, we realized we were missing a few scenes. So me, John, and Vocab got together again afterwards, and I recorded a few scenes, and I just messed up and massively overexposed this. So the idea is, now, John, do you remember the background here? This is my Islamic gear was supposed to be soaking wet. And so my Islamic gear is supposed to be soaking wet because I just washed all the semen off of me. Guys, this is about to get nasty. So if you got anyone like 10 years old or younger, you might want to get them out of the room. 12 years, this is PG-13, put it that way.
You're learning a lot about David right now, everyone.
This is PG-13. So the idea was that I was walking down. We're going to play this clip. And I'm supposed to be wet. My clothes are supposed to be wet from washing semen off of me. John, do you remember what this is about in the Islamic sources?
Yeah, so in Sahih Bukhari and also Sahih Muslim, there's also one other source I can't remember right now. But anyways, there's Aisha narrated, or it was narrated that said that Aisha said that she would have to wash the semen off of Muhammad's clothes before he went into the mosque to go pray and that sort of thing too. So
yeah, so that's the idea. That's the idea, guys. Is that and you mentioned it's in multiple sources, actually in a ton. Those are the ones we've kind of used for videos in the past. But we're going to actually look at those here in a minute. We're going to look at those sources. And you Muslims in the comments section, you Muslims in the chat, I would like to hear from you. I would like to know why your prophet was constantly covered in semen. So we're going to look at those sources. You have some time to gather your thoughts together. But we'll go ahead and watch the deleted clip, and you'll see. So the problem was when I say massively overexposed, meaning I needed to lower the exposure, because if it's too bright, then you can't really see that my clothes are wet. And so I ended up not using it and understanding that I could come back and use it as a deleted scene some other time. So let's go ahead and take a look at this deleted scene. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one.
As long as you've got the volume up. Make sure you get the volume up on the movie, on the program.
No, I'm looking. All right, here we go.
So, Quran
Jamal.
434.
Jamal, I just saw the best YouTube video. Have you ever seen when D-Dot smashes Jimmy Swaggart?
Yeah, that
That was great,
That
man.
dope.
It was awesome.
Oh, bro, is that you put on a fake beard?
Nah, man, it just grows in spurts.
What?
It's just
That's a fake
it's real
beard.
splotchy, you know?
What are you?
That's a
Just
fake beard, dude. That's haram.
Will you
I'm
tell
just,
this?
I'm just
story?
wearing this until my Suna beard comes in. Until my
You
Suna
look-
beard comes in.
you look like
I'm
a
just
idiot.
temporarily wearing this.
Wait, why are you wet?
I'm going to the mosque.
Why are you all soaking wet with water?
Did you pee your dress?
We're going to the. You guys
He
think
didn't
you're
learn
funny?
how to
You guys,
squat.
No one
you guys
squatted upside
Do you
down.
have any idea who you're making fun of right now? Backpack. Why am I covered in water before going to the mosque?
Ah, backpack, magic backpack. I'm the make the Mac attack backpack. With this sack reacts, I'm like a maniac. I got stats and facts to keep you all on track.
Welcome to Dennis's School of Islamic Instruction. Sahih al-Bukhari, number 232. Narrated Aisha, I used to wash the semen off the clothes of the Prophet, and even then I used to notice one or more spots on them. So even after she washes all the semen off his clothes, she'd still find one or more spots of semen on there. Wait for it. Number 230. Narrated Suleiman bin Yasser. I asked Aisha about the clothes soiled with semen. She replied, I used to wash it off the clothes of Allah's messenger, and he would go for the salat, prayer, while water spots were still visible. So Aisha would wash the semen off him so he could go to the mosque for prayer, and he would have water all over him from washing off all the semen. That's exactly what I'm doing, and you guys are making fun of me.
So those are water spots.
These are water spots from washing off all the semen.
Where did you get all the semen from?
How much
From all
water
the
did
mutzah.
you use?
From all
Wait,
the
wait, wait.
mutzah.
How could you get it from the muta? Because the Prophet specifically said, no coitus interruptus.
Okay, first off, you're supposed to park the car in the garage. You don't pull the car out of the garage.
We finish what we start in Islam. So again, I asked you, where did you get all the semen?
Prophet didn't have to explain himself, neither do I.
Can you believe that? Can you believe him? What's wrong with
This
this?
isn't a source.
Get that freaking beard off your
My Suna beard! Let go my Leia! Let go
I
my
knew it was
Leia!
fake! I knew it was fake!
All right. So that is that scene didn't make it. If you were watching, you couldn't really tell that I was my Islamic garb was soaking wet. So ended up not using it because it was overexposed there. Vocab. You remember? You remember? Did y'all catch that Vocab was wearing a fake beard? Explain the fake beard situation there, Vocab.
I'm gonna be real honest. I don't remember anything right now, and I just watched that and it made me laugh, and I don't even know. It's like a vague memory. I kind of remember there's a time where you guys pulled off my beard.
Yeah.
But seeing it now, I'm like, wait, what? I don't actually know. I remember I was saying some line at the end. It was kind of funny, but someone tell me what was going on?
Do you remember, John? Do you remember why he had to wear a fake beard?
I don't. We were exhausted at that point. I remember that. We were off like no sleep, right? And it was like going into the next day. So
Yeah.
I don't really remember either.
Yeah, okay. So
he looked like Fred
David,
Durst.
I remember.
What's the story?
I remember. So Vocab had a little bit of a really lame beard when we recorded for that first week of recordings. Then we had to come back. And record some missing scenes that we didn't get to finish when it was just us. But Vocab, your work had made you shave.
Oh, so that was one of the scenes. Afterwards,
So your facial hair had changed, right? So if you remember, guys, the part of the reason Vocab started wearing things over his face and stuff like this, or he'd have it. If you go back through Islamicize Me and watch this, you can see the scenes that we recorded that second week, because Vocab will have like a book up over his chin, so you can't see, that his facial hair has changed. Lots of times he's wearing, which was cool because it helped him look more radical. He'd have something wrapped around his face, and then the scene there where he puts a fake beard on. So yeah, that was all because Vocab's facial hair had changed in between recordings, and we had to get creative.
Okay, I remember. So that was afterwards when I didn't even have my little scruff.
Yeah.
And so we I don't know why we thought it would be funny one time to wear the fake beard for a scene. Though ironic thing though is that's the one scene that was deleted, the one where I had the fake beard. And it's kind of funny you pull it off at the end because you're upset.
Yeah. All right, so Muslims in the chat. Let's go ahead and take a look at what those sources say. I only read two on the screen, but we'll look at 4. So let's go ahead and go through these, and you can tell us why your prophet's covered in semen. All right, let's read through these real quick. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari, number 230, narrated Sulaiman bin Yasser. I asked Aisha about the clothes soiled with semen. She replied, I used to wash it off the clothes of Allah's messenger, and he would go for the salat, prayer, while water spots were still visible. So Aisha would be washing the semen off his clothes so that he could go for his prayer, and you'd see the water spots on his clothes. Hence, notice the parallel, right? So Dennis, that's the character there. His clothes are soaked because they're about to go to the mosque. All right, a couple more real quick. Sahih al-Bukhari 232, narrated Aisha, I used to wash the semen off the clothes of the Prophet, and even then I used to notice one or more spots on them. So notice Aisha's sitting there scrubbing semen off Muhammad's clothes. He's got to go to the mosque. He's got to show everyone what a great prophet he is. She's scrubbing the semen, and then he goes to leave, and even then she noticed more semen spots on him. Hey, I didn't see that one on your shoulder, Prophet. I didn't see that one on your back. I didn't see that one there. Oh, so much semen. What's going on here, guys? All right. This one is Sunan ibn Majah, number 537. It was narrated that Aisha said, I often scraped it, the semen, from the garment of the Messenger of Allah with my hand. So Aisha would have to scrape it sometimes. So notice, sometimes she would use some water, wash it, and then there'd be water spots on there. Other times she would just scrape it off with her hand, scrape off that semen. I guess if it's dried up, then she would scrape it off there. All right, one more. This is Sahih Muslim 669. It was narrated that Aisha said concerning semen, I used to scratch it from the garment of the Messenger of Allah. And guys, these are all over the place in the Muslim sources. It's like one never-ending mass of semen all over Muhammad, and all these hadiths about Aisha having to come up with ways of cleaning it off her prophet. What? Okay, let me put it this way. There are only a couple possibilities here, right? So, possibility number 1. Muhammad was masturbating and ended up getting semen. He used his clothes as, the towel after he masturbated. So, that's one possibility. Two, he was pulling out during sex. Sex to avoid getting the woman pregnant, but that's coitus interruptus as he condemned that, right? He told his followers not to do that. It's better not to do that, right? Because you're trying to play God and control who's going to be born and who's not, right? So that's not an option. Why is your prophet covered in semen? He's the only prophet in history I can think of who's constantly covered in semen. No one else has to ever deal with that sort of situation except in Islam. So Muslims who are here, I know you're here. I know you're here. I know you watch. I know you can't stay away when you hear that D Wood and What Do You Meme and Vocab Malone got something going down. So you tell us. Give us your explanations. I will gladly put your explanations up on the screen. So go ahead and get to those, Muslims. Tell us why your prophet is constantly covered in semen. Where's the semen coming from? And notice that's what they're asking me. They asked the obvious question in that video clip. They say, well, where'd you get all this semen? Why were your clothes covered in semen that you had to wash it all off? And I said, the prophet didn't have to answer, neither do I. And I storm off. Right? That's the idea. Why don't we have an answer here, right? Anyway, Muhammad, the semen-covered prophet of Islam. All right.
Does anybody else think that maybe Aisha was like sneak dissing Muhammad, where she was really upset about it? Because why else would she include that? So she's like really upset about it, but she's doing that girl thing where she's being passive aggressive.
Oh no! If anyone's going to do that in the Muslim sources, I think it would be Aisha, because like when Muhammad would get some special moral privilege, and Aisha said, "Your Lord hastens to satisfy your desires," right? She's clearly not saying, wow, what a wonderful person you are, right? She's saying, wow, isn't it? Wow, it's a miracle. Every time you want some perverted thing, Allah rushes in and gives you whatever you want, right? So Aisha was feisty like that. So yes, that is a possibility there. All right, well, we're going to give the Muslims an opportunity to defend their prophet and explain why their prophet was constantly covered in semen and had to go for his prayers with water spots all over him because Aisha washing it off, although sometimes she would scratch it and scrape it and stuff like this. Anything to get off all the semen when Muhammad was on his way to prayer. But we have a question for all of us here. And so we can answer this while Muslims are coming up with their brilliant defense of their prophet. And we'll answer this question. We'll see what responses the Muslims can give for this. And then we'll check out a blooper clip here in a bit, and then we'll just take questions. All right, so here's the question. This is from Alan Rule. It says, God bless you all, and thank you for Islamicize Me. Question for all of you. What is your favorite episode of Islamicize Me? Mine is day 19, breastfeeding. So, do you guys have a favorite episode or a favorite scene in that series?
For me, probably one. All the ones that I wrote are my favorite ones, or the ones that you had me do the thing. Those are always my favorite ones, naturally. But I liked the fart scene was funny, and also the one where me and Vocab's calling that hooker. those are probably the two that jumped in mind. But actually, my favorite episodes though is the ones with Robert Spencer towards the end. Those are all like my favorite ones in the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that first mutta view, you wrote that one, right?
Yeah.
And guys, if you are disturbed by that first mutta video, that's what happens when I say, all right, I have to go record this stuff with Robert. You guys go make that video while I'm doing that so we can sort of get double the work done. And that's what they came up with. It's pretty disturbing.
My favorite one is where we sent Jihad Jr. in to kill Robert Spencer, because I wasn't involved with a lot of the shooting of that one. Mm-hmm. And so like seeing it was just a total surprise, but not just that. I like the way it was filmed. Like it sort of had a horror film type of vibe. You know, he's running down the hall. There's a scary music, keeps on opening different doors. I like the surreal nature. And I also like the dialogue that we were having with him. So that episode just makes me laugh every time. And then, honestly, secondly,
okay. Yeah, we were recording the Muta scene while they were recording that one, right?
Yeah, because it was all in the hotel. Yeah. And then probably secondly, actually is the final one. Because, I mean, I've never seen in one single minute of Game of Thrones in my life, but I know a lot of people are talking about the final episode of that, and I guess it was a disappointment, whatever. To me, the final episode of Islamicize Me was literally perfect. Like it was longer than the other ones. Wrapped up so many different things.
So you mean day 30 rather than the postscript where we convert?
Aftermath.
Okay.
I don't mean the aftermath.
Okay.
I mean the final episode proper, which is day 30, because when we're all standing there dressed up, looking so serious, and then you faint, you pass out. It's just one of the funniest things, and everything about that episode to me is funny. Mm-hmm. And then we're in the doctor's office with Jeff. It has so much going on, and to me, it's all funny. And the way we get out of it, it's just funny to me. And if I had to choose another one, it'd probably be where the pimp comes to beat us up.
Yeah. So
those are my top three, but they're if you watch those, they are just insanely epic.
Yeah.
They're just insanely epic.
Yeah, especially as you pointed out the one with Robert in the hotel, which is interesting, and you talked about this on your channel, Vocab, when you would do sort of commentary on the series, but those recordings took place in 3 different hotel rooms. I mean the actual scene with Robert, that was 3 different hotel rooms. It was one, we recorded Robert in his hotel room where he's sitting in the chair because it had that chair and it had that kind of space. But it didn't have the hallway that we needed. So we recorded the scenes with Jihad Jr. coming into a room in a different hotel room that had a little narrow hallway that he was walking down. So we recorded all his scenes. And then the scene where he falls backwards, he falls out of the room, that was a different hotel room because the way he's going to be running down the hall, it wouldn't work because the hotel room that we were recording that one scene was down the hall. And so he didn't have that long, he wouldn't have been able to have that long scene of running down the hall. So we recorded all these scenes and then just put them together in editing. And oh guys, you remember this was cool when we were recording that the day 30 that Vocab was talking about. You guys remember how sick I was that day?
Yeah, that was crazy.
You guys, we don't want to talk about that too much on camera. But yeah, I remember.
Just say, have you ever seen anyone as sick as I was that day?
I don't think besides people dying.
Yeah.
Besides actually people dying, no.
I had the horrible flu. It would be okay. Let's cut this scene. I would go projectile vomit all over the place, and then at first, like when you're a psychopath, you can sort of you can come out. Sometimes I'll come out, woo, we got this, man, right after being super sick. But I was so sick that I was getting dehydrated. Anytime I would even try to take a sip of water, it would make me throw. So I just felt it was getting weaker and weaker as the day went on until it was just I could like barely walk. And so in that scene where we're making our jihad video where we're declaring to the world why we're going to kill Robert Spencer. There's a part where I go, I can't breathe, and I pull my thing down. John thought I was serious and goes, I know, I can't breathe either, and he pulls his down. But it stayed in scene because me and Vocab both love that, right? That John actually thought it was serious.
Yeah, if you listen for a second, John drops character a little bit, and he's like, "Yeah, no, gosh," but I just stayed in character, and so John puts his thing back on. And that's what ended up in the final episode. But that was perfect. Like the way you did it, you felt David. It was all perfect. And it just the second I was watching, I was like, this is so funny because we're all serious and we're like, we declare it just fall out. Like we're I don't know. I guess it's making the light of a bad situation.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a rough day, but I'm glad we got that an awesome episode out of that one. And yo,
I was gonna say, Ann Marzufakar says, David, please stop this nonsense when you were talking about the semen stuff.
Oh yeah, why?
Why would he consider that nonsense? I was just curious.
Should we help him out, David? There's one thing that Muslim apologists say, but you already know what it is.
No, I want to hear what they say, and I'll go ahead and put it up on the screen. So guys, tell me. And we've been talking. So,
should I go ahead and give them their one answer?
Oh, hang on. Check this out. David Perry said Halal Hogan merch. He wants some Halal Hogan merch. Oh, we can make them like tank tops. Unfortunately, I don't have the sleeveless shirts, but we can make Halal Hogan shirts for people to wear.
David, I'm shocked at how many people have never watched Islamicize Me. I'm looking at the comments, and there's a lot of people who've never watched them.
No, I think it's because when we did it, Wood was, I think he wasn't even at 200K subs or something then. So there's like another almost 200,000 subscribers.
So I have a ton of new subscribers. Anyway, guys, if you haven't seen Islamicize Me, keep in mind it's not for everyone, right? Some people like live streams, right? They like conversational, discussions of various issues and so on. Some people like, short, concise 5-6 minute videos on various topics. Some people like skits, and so there are some people who watch Islamicize Me. They watch 3 episodes and they go, "This is stupid. I don't want to see it." And then there are other people who watch it and go, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." So it's kind of different people like different things. So if you haven't seen Islamicize Me, go ahead and watch a few episodes. And guys, do you remember when we found out that kids were watching this? What was funny is it never entered my mind that kids were going to be watching this, right? Because we've got all those mutta scenes and everything, and I just had no idea. I actually toned down some of the videos in the editing because I was like, gosh, people are watching with like their 7-year-old kids. Wait, Vocab.
Well, maybe that's good that we had that deleted scene deleted then.
Well, I mean, look at some of the other stuff. We had multiple.
That's what I was gonna say.
Mutta scenes and everything. Oh, one more favorite episode was when we had the showdown with the Hebrew Israelites and they totally punked out. Because that was like worlds colliding, right? Vocab deals with the Hebrew Israelites. I deal with this, and we really didn't know right. When it's just us, we can figure out what we're going to do and plan it out and stuff like this. When we're rolling up on an actual cell of Hebrew Israelites and we're dressed as Muslims, we do not know what is going to happen there, right? You can't say what the other group is going to do. So I thought we were going to get into an awesome discussion where we were going to basically be telling them, hey, Muhammad's a white man. You guys are saying that, what, Muhammad can't make it to paradise? What's going on here? Thought there was going to be some sort of discussion. Instead, they just totally punked out the entire time. To the point where Vocab, as Giovanni the Muslim convert, was calling them cowards repeatedly, and they still wouldn't answer. These are the tough Hebrew Israelites, man.
Yeah, that same group, I don't know if you guys saw on my channel recently, went and sicked a cop on me when I was trying to just simply talk to them. Not, yelling, no cameras, none of that, just talking to them normal. Mm-hmm. After about a minute and a half, they went and got a cop on me. And shout out to an apology accepted Mike. I think he's in there for editing that video, but you can watch them and hear them. Go get a cop on me, and they're like, "Oh, he called us a cult." So they punk out pretty quick, it appears, as far as actually dealing with their arguments.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and check this out real quick.
Oh, you know what? Hey, real quick.
What?
Today when I was driving home, I saw a whole cop situation going on, speaking of cops, and I saw it looked like it was going to be road work, but I'm going by, and I look over to the left. on 19th Avenue, and a whole bus stop. Like, the bus stop is the part where, there's like a little cage that goes up so people can sit underneath the little roof awning while they're waiting on the bench, had been dislodged and was on the street, taken down. Some kind of truck or something ran into it and just totally destroyed it. My point is, that was the exact same bus stop we waited at. That bus stop has now been destroyed.
Wow.
As of today. Like, obviously they're going to put another one up, but the actual one we were under when we were waiting on the bus after Robert Spencer stole our caravan, who does that? That one we were waiting at with the knives out in the open when the people gathered together, and I think probably called the cops on us when we left. That bus stop got destroyed today. Anyways, just a bit of memorabilia gone.
Wow. Well, we got the video of it, though. All right, we have this comment from Salmon Player. He says, he's talking to Alan Rule, and he said, is a snowflake that would put me in a time out simply for pointing him to what the Bible says. Guess what? I was put in time out. No, lol, I didn't put you in time out. I didn't put you in a timeout.
David is a snowflake.
Yeah,
you've been called a lot of things.
Such a snowflake.
I call you snow all the time, don't I?
Yeah, you call me snow, toilet paper, paper towel, TP,
teeth, socks,
milk.
milk.
Yeah,
Eating white.
Yeah. So yeah, he does that. And what are you talking? First of all, Salmon, why would you even want to talk about what the Bible says here? We asked a simple question. Why was your prophet always covered in semen? To where Aisha has to, hey, careful, prophet, careful! You're about to head to the mosque and you're covered in semen again. The question is, and Muslims don't seem to get the point. And let me give an example here. Here's Abdul Rahman. He says, what's the problem? Don't go to the mosque with semen after being with your wife. All right, you missed the point. We agree. You shouldn't go to the mosque covered in semen. The question is, why is he covered in semen, right? You're saying after being with your wife. What would that have to do with him being covered in semen, right? Keep in mind, Aisha's saying, man, I would just keep scrubbing the semen and scrubbing the semen and scrubbing the semen, and then he's about to walk out the door and I would see even more semen on him. What in the world is he doing? Do you understand the problem? In Islam, you're not supposed to practice coitus interruptus. That's where you have your orgasm outside of the woman. This is why John's character in that video said you park your car in the garage, you don't back your car out of the garage, right?
We're Muslims, we finish what we start.
Yeah, it says we're Muslims, we finish what we start. Muhammad said you don't pull out. So you you only have your orgasm inside the woman or your sex slave, right? So why has Muhammad got semen all over him? Do you really not understand that's weird? Guys, tons of people have sex. They don't walk around covered in semen. Do you not understand this problem, right? Of all prophets down through history, many of them had wives and had sex, and so they didn't walk around covered in semen. They didn't walk out, oh, we're about to step out the door and go pray. Oh, I have to clean all the semen off you, right? Muhammad's the only person I've ever heard of having to deal with this problem. So the question is, why is your prophet the one person in history I've ever heard about who's got this never-ending semen problem all over him? And we asked you guys why, right? It's a simple question, right? I understand we're making fun of it and stuff, but if you give me a legitimate answer, then please give me a legitimate answer. Why is Muhammad constantly covered in semen? Simple question.
Here's sort of an answer. Abdul Raham.
Is it recent?
Yeah, it's like yeah.
Because I'll put it on the screen.
It is recent. 6:29 p.m. That's his business. That's his wife. That's the joys of this life. It's not my business to know what a man and woman do behind closed doors. So that's his response. It's saying we don't know what happened, but it's none of our business because it was with his wife.
It's in the sources. How's it not our business? They wanted everybody to know, right?
Yeah, exactly, right?
If it's not our business, why did Bukhari include it?
Aisha thought this was very important, so she kept talking about it. Okay, so here's Abdul Rahman's. He says, that's his business, that's his wife, that's the joys of his life. It's not my business to know what a man and woman do behind closed doors. Well, whatever your prophet is doing, that's, guys, again, listen to the point. Muhammad was not supposed to have an orgasm except for inside one of his 9 or 11 wives, or inside one of his many sex slaves that he had. Mary the Copt and others. So how is the semen getting all over him? Do you really not see this problem here? The point is, again, was he masturbating and got it all over himself? Was he breaking his own rules? So he was practicing coitus interruptus, so he would have sex with Aisha and then stop and ejaculate all over himself so that she would then have to...
Plot twist, how do we know it was his semen?
That's the question. A question that could be raised. I'm guessing it was Muhammad's and that he just had some sort of problem, something like that. But that's why I'm asking Muslims, guys, I've never heard of anyone having this problem, right? Guys, are you aware of anyone having the problem of constantly being covered in semen?
Here's another answer. By the way, I'm a moderator. I understand this topic right here is it's PG-13 to say the least by nature, but a lot of you guys are making rated R and X comments. Whenever I see them, I'm getting rid of them because we're not here to make porno type jokes. We're asking serious questions because he's supposed to be an example and model for everybody, and it shows some inconsistencies.
He's the pattern.
Mm-hmm. So here's Michael Crean at 6:30. It's a recent comment. Says this: incomplete hadith quoted. You are missing the rest of the hadith. You are out of context.
Really? Check this out. So here's Michael. Here's Michael Crean again. Answer: what's wrong in cleaning semen stains from clothes of husband? Guys, have we said one thing claiming that it's wrong to clean semen stains? We're asking why the semen stains are there, guys. We understand Aisha would want her prophet to be nice and clean and not be covered in semen when he's going to the mosque. We understand that. We agree with her. We would hope that Aisha would clean the semen off her prophet as he's going out to the mosque to lead the prayers. We're asking, why is he covered in semen to begin with? Because there are only certain possibilities, right? I've named several possibilities. John named an additional one. We're asking you, which one do you believe? Do you believe Muhammad was masturbating and ejaculating all over himself? Or was he violating his own rule, forbidding coitus interruptus? And was he doing that even though he told his followers not to do that? Was it someone else's? These are the possibilities, guys. So why was your prophet covered in semen? I didn't plan on talking about this for all this time.
We were going to hear. Are you ready?
Hang on.
Okay.
I did want to. So you got the answer? Hang on.
No, I'm saying I see an answer in the live chat that
Okay.
I thought was going to be the first thing they were going to say.
Okay, so, but I just wanted to respond to this charge because
Okay, go
it
ahead.
says, don't write incomplete sentences from the hadith you quote. Didn't we put them on the screen and read the entire hadith? Let's go through these again. I'll be quick. So, no incompleteness for us. All right, here we go. Sahih al-Bukhari, 230. Narrated Suleiman bin Yasser. I asked Aisha about the clothes soiled with semen. She replied, I used clothes soiled with semen.
That sounds extensive.
That sounds
very
that
extensive.
sounds bad. She replied, I used to wash it off the clothes of Allah's messenger, and he would go for the salat, prayer, while water spots were still visible. So imagine this, right? Because some people would have to wonder, hey, why is Muhammad showing up for prayer with his clothes soaking wet? That's the point of that skit we did, right? Vocab and John are like, why are you covered in water? What is this? We're going for prayer. Why are you covered in water, right? Muhammad's followers wouldn't have known, but Aisha fills in the details later. Oh yeah, that's because I had to wash a bunch of semen off him. So let's go. No, so guys, did I misquote that? Did I leave something off of that?
Not that I see. If
yeah.
the person's making that charge,
Yeah. So
I mean, what
maybe
possible context could we be leaving out?
yeah. Well,
I mean,
Vocab says he's got the answer. So, but let's just go in case I accidentally forgot to read one till the end here. Sahih al-Bukhari 232, narrated Aisha. I used to wash the semen off the clothes of the Prophet, and even then I used to notice one or more spots on them. So, even after I scrub his garment and I scrub off all the semen, I'd still find more. I do all my scrubbing and think that my scrubbing was done for the day. I finish all the semen scrubbing that I'm going to do, and then I'd see even more. It's never ending. All right, two more. Sahih Muslim 669. It was narrated that Aisha said concerning semen, I used to scratch it from the garment of the messenger of Allah. So sometimes she'd wash it and leave water spots and then find more. And sometimes she'd scratch it off. She'd have to, he's got a child bride, 9-year-old girl, scratching the never-ending semen stains off his clothes. And here we go. Sunan ibn Majah 537. It was narrated that Aisha said, I often, notice often, so it talks about clothes being soiled with semen, and here it's often. It was narrated that Aisha said, I often scraped the semen, from the garment of the messenger of Allah with my hand. This guy's got a little girl scraping semen off his clothes with her hand, and she had to scrape it. She had to scrape it often. And then she had to scrape it often, and that's not even counting the times when she would wash it off, leaving water spots all over the place.
Scrape makes me think that it was had been dried for a while.
Yeah, so Muhammad just sitting around for days in semen-covered clothes till the semen's all dried up all over him. This is the pattern of conduct. You Muslims, you should be you should be constantly covered in semen. The greatest moral example was constantly covered in semen, and you should have a child bride who's constantly scraping it off you, scratching off it, and using your hand, washing, thinking you're done, and you have to. Who has this problem?
And to recap, about how old was she? Probably when she was scraping all this off, and how old was he, just roughly? So Muhammad was in his 50s and early 60s when he was married to Aisha. Aisha married Muhammad. Well, the marriage contract was written when she was 6 or 7. Then he actually first had sex with her when she was 9, and then he died when she was 18. So all this scraping and scrubbing took place between the age of 9 and 18. So from the age of 9 and 18. See, and you thought your chores were bad at home, didn't you?
Yeah, guys. I mean, Muslim mothers should be talking to their daughters. You're complaining because you have to wash the dishes? Let me show you from the hadith what Aisha had to do. Aisha,
maybe that's the practical application right there. Because a real question to ask is, okay, why did Bukhari include this? What's the practical application? There must be some kind of application.
Oh, the application is, in terms of washing and stuff like that. What do you do if you have semen on your clothes? Yeah.
I guess a question to ask is, why wouldn't Muhammad just simply change his garment?
Well, I know he's a prophet. He was taking a fifth of the spoils of war. He would have had tons of garments, but for some reason, no matter what he's wearing, it's always covered in semen.
He's probably proud when you think about it, because doesn't he have the sexual strength of how many men?
30 men?
Yeah, 30 men.
30 men. That's what they said.
Maybe. And again, if it's dried, because if it's fresh, you would think, okay, maybe Aisha was involved and she's aware, so that's why she's looking. But if it's dried, it makes it like, well, was she involved and aware? Because it wasn't fresh. There's a lot of questions to ask.
Oh, there are some questions to ask.
Here's what I thought we were going to hear right away, because here's the response I've heard from Muslim apologists. Smart seller at 632. You have to go back a while now to find it, but it says this, David and John: if you have wet dreams, you definitely will have semen on your clothes. So that's what I thought we were going to hear. The standard of defense I'm aware of is it's his nocturnal emissions. So when he would wake up, he would have these, and she had to wipe them off. That's what I've heard. Yeah,
and guys, does everyone know what the problem with that is?
Yeah, he had 30 wives.
No. He had the sexual strength of 30 men. He had between 9 and 11 wives. We have Muslim sources saying he would have sex with all of them on the same day, right? You have nocturnal emissions when you haven't had sex for a very long time. That's when that's when you have nocturnal emissions.
But even that, and I mean, okay, I was just thinking,
and guys,
scraping it off. Where's it at? It's on the outside and stuff too. So even if that was the case,
wouldn't it be like inside? Inside his robe there. So no, I don't think that's a very good response. And again, a guy who's having sex with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 women and girls a night, and then not counting his sex slaves.
Yeah, you can't keep clean.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, it doesn't sound like nocturnal emissions. That is not the sort of guy. A guy who's having that much sex is not the sort of guy who you have nocturnal emissions when your body just needs to expel that fluid. So no, I'm not buying that one.
Oh, here's something.
Why are we still talking about this? It's such a disgusting thing.
Well,
such a disgusting thing to talk about. But yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. Here's the Don. The Don says this: the hadiths were fabricated.
Oh.
The hadiths were written after the demise of the prophet. So notice this person's calling him a prophet, so that means they're most likely a Muslim.
Yeah, the Don is a Muslim.
The Abbasids would make up hadiths for different reasons, such as making their school of thought seem more superior. So the Don is saying this is a fabricated hadith, put in by Bukhari to make different schools of thought look bad or something. It appears.
Okay, well, you can use that solution when you want to. You can just throw out hadith. Notice these are all sahih narrations, right? Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim.
Could you explain real quick, David, what the term and concept in relationship to hadith reliability sahih means?
Yeah, so you have different grades of hadiths. And the strong rating is sahih, right? So notice when you throw out multiple narrations, right? It would be one thing if this were just one narration and it were weak. It would be something if it were one narration and it were strong, right? You could maybe make a case. Okay, yeah, even though it's classified as sahih, well, it's just one and we don't have anything else. When you have these hadiths all over the place in Islam's most trusted sources and multiple hadiths with the sahih classification, you can still throw those out because no one can force you to believe what you don't want to believe. But when you do that, you forfeit the right to tell us that you know anything about your prophet, right? In other words, if all of your best sources are filled with information that is completely false, and even multiple narrations that all receive the highest ranking are all false, then you're telling me that we can't trust anything, right? You have nothing that's reliable. I can't trust Bukhari. I can't trust Imam Muslim. I can't trust Ibn Majah. I can't trust any of these guys because they're all filling their sources up with false information. So you can actually go that route, Didon. You can say, hey, I'm throwing all of that out. Fine. Good. Great thing that you've done there. But what you've told us is the early generations of Muslims were a bunch of liars. And guess what? Guess who's preserving the Quran during this time? These same guys that you're calling liars, right? The same guys that you're saying will just make up all kinds of things about their prophet. These are the same guys that are preserving the Quran. So we can't trust anything they say about about your prophet. We can't trust anything they say about the origin and preservation of the Quran and so on, which means we know nothing about your prophet. If we know nothing about your prophet, we obviously shouldn't be taking him as the pattern of conduct for all people because we don't know anything about him.
And then the Don did a follow-up, which says these hadiths are also quoted from Aisha, whom, according to the first verse of Surah Al-Tahrim, would lie to the Prophet repeatedly. So why should we trust her?
This guy's either a Shia or something else. To say, I
was thinking that a Shia probably.
Yeah, it has to be. So this would be one of the guys who
He's
believes
throwing a lot of shade on Aisha.
Yeah. And yeah, there are lots of Shias who would do that. But again, you're free to do that. But the Sunnis do the exact same things with your sources. And so from us, the outsiders here who aren't just raised to believe this source or that source, we're looking at this and wait, you're saying the Sunni sources are untrustworthy, can't be trusted, filled with lies. The Sunnis are saying your Shia sources can't be trusted, they're filled with lies. Great, we're at the same point. Namely, the early generations of Muslims were the biggest bunch of liars the world had ever seen. Aisha, who has the title the mother of the faithful in Islam, you're saying she's a horrible liar, can't trust her. She's the mother of the faithful, but you can't trust what she said. Your prophet picked her as his favorite wife, but she's a horrible, despicable liar. So your prophet wasn't very good at picking anyone reliable. And the rest are liars. His followers were liars. The people who recorded the hadiths, a bunch of liars. Great, we can't know anything about them. So there goes Islam, right? What you're telling me is Islam somehow inspired the biggest bunch of liars the world has ever seen, and these are the guys telling us about Muhammad, right? We don't have Muhammad in front of us. We only have what other people said about Muhammad. And the people who said things about Muhammad that would be our sources of information. But you're saying they're a bunch of liars. Okay, I grant it. You want to throw out the semen stuff? Fine. Your guys are a bunch of liars. Don't tell us to believe in your prophet. All right.
Please
Problem
don't
solved.
throw out any semen stuff, though.
Yeah.
Mary the Muslim says, obviously he wore his clothes to bed. Multi-purpose clothing, nightshirt and mosque garment.
I'm fine. I might wear this to bed tonight. It's not going to be covered in semen in the morning. It's not. It's just not.
Well, you're not a prophet. No wonder.
I've never had the problem of being covered in semen, right? Does anyone really, guys? You guys who are watching, just think. You're trying to defend it. Oh, you're in bed and blah, blah. When have you had this problem? Like I'm about to run out to the mosque. Oh yeah, going to the mosque. Oh yeah, can't wait to go there and pray. And then your wife's like, no, you're covered in semen. Look. And she brings out the bucket and the washcloth. She's like, oh, let me get that spot up. Oh, let me get that spot up. Oh, I'm sorry, you're covered in water. Oh, let me scrape this off with my hand. Oh, let me wash this spot. Okay, I think you're good now. And you're going off and wait, I see even more. I didn't see all those other spots of semen. Come back. And notice they're defending this. What's strange about that? What's strange about that? Do you guys have that same problem? Are you guys like that? Again, I've not seen one person in my entire life who had this problem of being constantly covered in semen. All right.
just real quick, the reason why because someone asked, because when you made a joke, you said, why are we still talking about this? And someone repeated it in the comments. The reason is because, and I'm glad that they're doing it, but some of the Muslim viewers are giving defenses. And notice it's a variety of defenses, but they're giving a variety of defenses. So we're interacting with their comments. And I don't think the situation's good. I don't think the sources are portraying Muhammad good. Bukhari was not an enemy of Muhammad, and yet he's including this stuff. So, and I don't think the answers are very good either.
Yeah, and they're not. And guys, this is going to be an R-rated comment here, but might as well go ahead and take it. So because you can see how this works. And I'm just pointing this out because this is how these things go. I've been doing this for years. Been having these discussions for years. Here's how it goes. Muslims make a claim about Muhammad. He's the greatest moral person, the greatest moral pattern of conduct ever. And I say, okay, what about these things? And then they give some defenses. And to the Muslims, I've said something in response to you, therefore I've refuted your objection. And then I point out how the response is utterly silly and doesn't answer the problem at all. And then it's insults, trying to change a subject. And so let's just look at an example. Again, I'm going to change the rating here. So this is from Luqman. Honest to God, brothers and sisters, this David Wood is the biggest scumbag, monkey-censored, mother-censored, and a complete fool to his own religion, Christianity. All he does is talk nonsense about Islam. Guys, what nonsense have I talked about Islam? I put the sources up on the screen. They're very clear in what they say. They're very clear in what they mean. And I asked you to explain to explain it, right? That was the point of our little skit. If someone came downstairs covered in water and you said, "Hey, we're going to the mosque. Why are you covered in water?" And he said, "Because I washed all the semen off me." And then you ask, "Well, wait a minute. Why did you have semen all over you when you're not? If you ejaculate, it's supposed to be inside a girl. It's supposed to be inside a woman. Why is it? Why are you covered in it?" And then, well, I don't have to answer, and I'll storm off. How did the Muslims respond? Well, we're not supposed to ask about that. That's between a man and his wife, right? Well, again, they made it between all of us when they put it in their sources. So notice we ask, why? Why is your prophet covered in semen? This is the guy you're telling us to believe in. This is the guy you're saying everyone has to submit to this man. This is the guy that Allah sent as the final prophet, as the greatest moral example, as the pattern of conduct that we should all strive to imitate. And we say, okay, well, why did he do this? Why did he do that? Why did he have sex with a 9-year-old girl? Why did he take the wife of his own adopted son? Why was he constantly covered in semen? And you have no answers. And then you still expect us to believe in it.
Well, Undead Chronic Sun says maybe it wasn't Muhammad's.
Yeah, that's what John pointed out earlier. Again, that's a possibility. I'm not saying that at all.
That would create further problems, right? Because I mean, just walking through it in all seriousness, that would imply another man's involved, and that goes against certain hadith, right, about having a man involved in any kind of sexual intimacy. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, isn't same-sex relations only implied that it's wrong in the Quran, but it's the hadith where it's more clearly laid out. Is that correct, David?
Yeah, you would have it. You would have in the hadiths. You have the sin of Lot and his people.
Yeah.
And so that's where you have it. So
the Quran itself is not very clear on condemning that, is it?
Well, I mean, let me put it this way: if Muslims want to go that route, then we can talk about that. No Muslim is going to want to go that route and say he had other people's semen on him, and that's why we're simply asking what is your explanation of this? And guys, have we seen? I've been looking for some. I may have. we're still.
Okay, here's an alternate explanation. Maybe he was going to go get some camel pee, and instead he got something else.
See, John is trying to get killed here, right?
Oh boy. Well, check this out.
Hang on. Let me read this comment real quick.
Okay.
Here we have again. What defense is needed? It's his wife. It's halal. He's human. It's natural. My friend, you're still missing the point, right? Muhammad said. Okay, so one, you're not supposed to masturbate, so he's not supposed to masturbate. He's not supposed to pull out before. He's not supposed to pull out. That's coitus interruptus. Not supposed to pull out before climaxing inside the woman. So he's not supposed to do that. So there's no situation where he's supposed to be ejaculating all over his clothes, right? So the only possibility here of where he would do that is if he had nocturnal emissions, a wet dream, but that would be inside his clothes. And there's no way a guy who's having that as much sex as Muhammad had would be having nocturnal emissions. So there is no scenario where it makes sense for your prophet to be, put it this way, however he became covered in semen, he violated one of his own rules. Either his own rule about homosexuality, either his own rules about masturbation, either his own rules about coitus interruptus. He's violating some of his own rules. So this means that your prophet is a hypocrite in some fashion. We're asking, do you have an alternative explanation? It's very simple. You give us this alternative explanation, say, no, here's an explanation for why he's covered in semen, why Aisha spent 9 years of her life cleaning semen off her prophet's clothes and still couldn't get the job done. Give us an explanation. We're offering you an opportunity to explain, and it's, well, we don't ask things like that. Well, good. Then don't tell us to believe in him. Don't call him the pattern of conduct for all people, because as far as the options I see available, he's a hypocrite. He has violated something that he has commanded one thing to others, and then he himself has done something completely different. And it's not surprising at all. We see this. He commanded his followers not to have more than 4 wives. He had at least 9 or 11 at one time, not counting as sex slaves. Muhammad was a tremendous hypocrite. Hypocrisy is one of the things you don't do if you're the greatest moral pattern of conduct for all people. Right?
Someone's offering an explanation.
Nope.
NC for YouTube. Maybe his garment was an undertowel for coitus with his wives.
So
this is getting very creative.
Wearing it to the mosque.
Quite sophisticated and intricate. Yeah.
So
why would you wear it to the mosque then afterwards?
So this is the theory, right? Muhammad, who takes a fifth of the spoils, right? Who has multiple houses. He takes his mosque gear. The gear that he wears to the mosque. And he says, hey, Aisha, my beautiful little child bride, I'm about to climb on top of you and have some great sex before heading off to my 8 or 10 other wives' house to have sex with them. So I'm going to lay down my mosque robe right beneath you so that when a little spills out of you, it spills all over my garment instead of just, having a separate sheet or blanket or something like that I didn't lay down. So that's the new explanation, everyone, right? That Muhammad is, but notice, I mean, it shouldn't be all over it. So what you have to, here's what you guys have to say to make sense of this. This would account for the evidence, and I don't think it would necessarily involve Muhammad in hypocrisy, but wow, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Here's what you have to say. Here's what you have to say. Let's go through it. Here's what you're saying, right? Because again, it's covered all over the place, right? It's not just one little spot where a little spilled out of Aisha. It's all over it, right? So here's what you have to say. You have to say that Muhammad goes to have sex with Aisha, and he says, hey, here's my mosque robe. I'm going to take this off. Here's my thawb. Let me lay it down. Let's have sex. Oops, spilled it a little on there. All right, now let me take that same thawb, and now I'm going over to Hafsa's house. Hey, Hafsa, I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to lay it in a little bit of different position here so that any semen that spills out is going to be at a different spot on this thing. And then, okay, I just finished that up. Let me roll up my mosque robe here. And then he goes to Zainab's house. Hey, Zainab, check this out. Let me lay this down. Want to have sex on my special sex robe, which just so happens to be what I wear to the mosque. So you're saying that this man's basically his giant semen sponge of a garment is what he wears to the mosque, right? My best set of clothes that I wear to the mosque on Friday, man, that's what I use to sop up all the semen and lay my sweaty wives down. I got my wife's sweaty bodies all over this as we're doing it, and I keep spilling semen all over it. Hey, it's time to go to the mosque. Let me put that on. I want that on my body. I want that on when I go to the mosque. And Aisha's the only one with common sense going, no! At least let me try to scratch and scrape it all off and then wash a bunch and then, oh, I missed some. Wow.
When I got into apologetics, I never thought these are the kind of conversations I'd be having.
This is epic. We didn't plan on this. I was going to play a clip just to show you guys a funny clip, and then Muslims are giving their defenses.
Energy says maybe it was a communal wardrobe.
They're all sharing.
And then someone else say maybe that. Oh, I don't want to say exactly what this says, but someone is kind of saying a similar thing. They're saying maybe the clothes were used as a towel, essentially.
Yeah. So his thawb, his main thawb, his mosque thawb, is what he uses to wipe the semen off himself. Right. Of all the different things. Right. Keep in mind, it's very easy to get some sort of rag. Right. Muhammad is conquering Arabia, ladies and gentlemen. He's conquering Arabia. He's taking a fifth of the spoils for himself. Those spoils include clothes, right? It's very easy to say, I mean, guys, okay, let me put it this way. Hang on, let me just ask the Muslims here. Okay, so you just finished, you had sex with your wife, and there's a little spillage, and so you can A, take the thawb you wear to lead prayers at the mosque, or B, take anything else in the world besides that to wipe up the semen. Muhammad's, hey, you know what? There's my mosque garb. I'm going to use that. And keep in mind, Aisha's saying this was often. She was doing this regularly. She did this for years. She had multiple methods of cleaning all the semen off him. So Muhammad, of all the things he could wipe with, he doesn't use, that towel or anything else or, just this old rag. He doesn't. I have to use the garment. Keep in mind, guys, what would you think? Tell me, seriously, guys.
Oh.
I mean you two, Vocab and John. If a guy's coming up to you in church, your pastor is coming up to you in church, and you somehow know that the suit he wears to church happens to be the rag for cleaning semen off himself and off his wives, that's what he wears. Are you even going to shake hands with that dude? I'm not. I don't want to go to your church. And so I don't want your profit either.
The same guy keeps making the same comment, but he said, David, I don't need to know what you do with your wife. That's not my business. But what he doesn't get is like if I mean, you don't need to know that. That is the point. But if it's on the outside of his clothes and then his wife has to keep trying to claw it off and then it's written in all the freaking hadiths and all that too, then
And first of all, I call bull, right? I call bull.
Yeah.
If one of you, right? Let's suppose we became enemies like 6 months from now, and you guys, hey, we're gonna give everyone the dirt on David Wood. Did you know that he was constantly walking around covered in semen, and his wife had to run around washing it off? If Muslims did not know that was true of their prophet, and they heard that, they would be blasting that. You see this lunatic David Wood? Why were his clothes always covered in semen? This shows you what a sick pervert he is. That's what they would say. Right?
Someone brought up a good point, NC for YouTube, that actually said, well, basically that your scenario, I don't think this is a Muslim, by the way. I think it's someone trying to help out.
That's fine. That's fine.
He did make a round of all of them in one night.
That's true.
So I think it's saying basically your scenario could be true. And then someone, I don't think they're serious, but 333 Veton says perhaps he was suffering from premature. So I think they're
well, if he didn't though, right? So I mean, not saying he did make a round through all his wives.
Again, how is this on the outside? Okay, go ahead, John.
Well, if he's suffering from premature, then that might explain it.
That would be inside. Vocab.
Inside, yeah.
Well, maybe during. Okay, I hate to. Perhaps during foreplay.
Okay, you're still
then you violated the other rule.
Yeah.
Well, if you're having premature, you can't help it or something.
Yeah. You're still in the scenario of, hey, the thing, the bedding on which I have sex with my wives is the garment that I wear to prayer. Right. Again, of all the different things he could use, right? Of all the different things he could lay down up. And again, this isn't a one-time thing, ladies and gentlemen. You have to. So what we're hearing here, and I this would be I don't see any response apart from this, right? You have to say that when Muhammad showed up to prayer, when this guy shows up to the mosque for prayer, he wears his semen rag. That's what he wears to the mosque for prayers. That's what he wears. And when these guys find this out, we don't know when they found it out. We knew Aisha knew. When these guys find out, wow, when this guy is praying with me, when I am hugging this man, and I feel that wet spot on there, that's because Aisha tried her best to wash all the semen off this. This is, wow. Again, notice people are saying, oh, but maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Again, who has this problem? If Muhammad is the pattern of conduct, and Muslims are always saying, oh, we have the best hygiene. And so if you have the best hygiene, your prophet shouldn't be wearing his main prayer garb and using that to wipe up his semen. Right? You just shouldn't.
I was gonna say, think about this though. So what, how you said the guy said, well, it doesn't mean that he went through all his wives in one night. But the point is this though, if he say he only did like say one wife each day.
No. He had sex with all 9 wives in one night.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, that's what I said. Because then why would they say he has the sexual strength of 30 men if he was just doing one wife per day? So obviously he was running through them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Also, Smart Seller says. It's 7:00. The live chat comment. You Western people do not have any idea what poverty is if you just have one pair of clothes.
Muhammad, who took 1/5 of the spoils as he conquered all of Arabia, who married a very rich widow, Khadijah, right? He married a rich woman. By the time she died, he's adored. He has tons of followers, and he's conquering people, robbing people, and taking a fifth of the spoils. I think he could afford a rag to wipe himself with. All right? Could he afford that? So are you saying that Muhammad was so incredibly poor he couldn't afford a paper towel? Right? That's what you're saying. He couldn't afford an old pillowcase. He couldn't afford any of that, right? That's what you're saying. He couldn't afford some Kleenex.
Wet naps. He needs wet naps.
Sodom Prime says,
Hey, but
I can't say this is how I thought my Wednesday night was going
Muhammad,
to go.
hey! Look,
me neither.
Hey, look, I'm richer than Muhammad. I've got a paper towel. I'm so wealthy. I didn't even conquer all of Arabia, and I can afford this. But go ahead.
This person says Muhammad doesn't represent Islam.
Okay, well, Allah.
I'm trying to think what they mean by that, though.
Allah says, Muhammad is the center of Islam, right? Surah 4, verse 65 of the Quran says, you can have no faith until you make Muhammad judge in all disputes, and you have no resistance in yourself against any of his decisions. Well, he decided to be covered in semen for some reason. And so if you have any resistance against it, what are you going to say? He doesn't represent Islam. Allah said he did. So Allah doesn't know what he's talking about either. So Allah doesn't know what he's talking about. Muhammad doesn't represent Islam. Welcome to the new Islam. Again, I don't know if that was a comment from a Muslim or whoever.
701 Pisces Bear. I think they're being facetious, but you just never know. Says David, you are simply ignoring the prophet's capacious volumes of censored, which could possibly not be contained just inside his garment.
Yeah, that would actually, and by the way, this is the other. I don't bring this up because I haven't studied it, but Brother Rashid has pointed out that one of the theories about Muhammad is that he had temporal lobe epilepsy, and one of the symptoms of this, again, I haven't studied this, I've heard this from someone who studies this with respect to Muhammad. So I'm not saying that this is true. I'm just saying that this is a possible explanation. One of the symptoms of temporal lobe epilepsy can be a hyper sex drive. So that could explain why Muhammad is having sex with 9 to 11 women and girls in a single night. Again, not counting his sex slaves, his slave girls, and so on. And also why, even in spite of that, he'd still just be walking around somehow ejaculating all over himself and being constantly covered in semen. I don't know. If Muslims want to go that route, then you can go that route.
Hey, this person says, so he got 2/5 to support 13 wives and hundreds of slaves and camels. Yeah, he was not rich.
Yeah,
I mean, but the point was he couldn't afford backup outfit, right?
Yeah, so he's got again. Notice this point, right? He's got all these wives, he's got all these slaves, he's got all these houses, he's got all these camels, he's got all this stuff, but can't afford a bounty paper towel. That's the explanation, right? You see how silly this is. All right, should we go on or should we continue this? Because I'm like the guy who said I did not plan on spending my night like this either. Did not think that this was.
At some point, I don't know if we're able to maybe we can show the deleted scene again. Some people were asking to show people missed the deleted scene.
We can show that again.
Show it again. But did you have another clip you were going to show, David?
No, I just wanted to. Yeah. I wanted to show a blooper scene. But here's Abdul Rahman again. He says, "We are not ashamed of cleanliness. We're not ashamed of our semen-covered prophet being so clean."
Oh man.
Well. Welcome to Islam, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a prophet who's the only person in history that I've ever heard of who's constantly covered in semen, and they're bragging about. And the responses that we're getting is, well, maybe he's using his garment that he wears to the mosque as his semen rag after sex and laying on it and having his sweaty wives as he's having sex with them, and he's sweating and they're sweating and he's ejaculating and it's spilling out all over. This is what he wears in the mosque. We're not ashamed of our cleanliness. You need to look up that word cleanliness, because I don't think it means what you think it means. All right, so let's go and watch that clip once more, and then unless someone has a brilliant response, we're just gonna have to move on to show another clip. Wow, what we talk about that for? Like an hour on something I thought was gonna be like 5 minutes.
Yes, I don't really know if this was the 1-year anniversary of Islamicize Me. Exactly. This show is turn it into something a little bit different.
Yeah. All right. So
People walk in and think we're talking about like a porn star, like Ron Jeremy or whatever his name is.
what are these guys talking about? We're talking about the greatest moral example for all mankind who's ever lived, Muhammad. So anyway, guys, here's the deleted scene. If you missed the hadiths and so on, we've quoted them multiple times and put them on the screen in English and Arabic. We've given the Muslims here tons of opportunities to explain these, and we don't. But this is all based on a deleted scene from Islamicize Me, and we'll watch it one more time, and then we'll move on and then wrap things up. All right, here we go.
So, Quran
Jamal.
434.
Jamal, I just saw the best YouTube video. Have you ever seen when D-Dot smashes Jimmy Swaggart?
Yeah, that
That was great,
That was
man.
good.
It was awesome.
Oh, bro, is that you put on a fake beard?
Nah, man, it just grows in spurts.
What?
It's just
That's a fake
real
beard.
splotchy, you know?
What are you?
That's a
just
fake
a-
beard, dude. That's haram.
Will you
I'm
tell
just,
this?
I'm just
fool-
wearing this until my
Wait,
Sunnah beard comes in. Until my
You
Sunnah
look-
beard comes in.
you look like
I'm
a
just
idiot.
temporarily wearing this.
Wait, why are you wet?
I'm going to the mosque.
Why are you all soaking wet with water?
Did you pee your dress?
We're going to the. You guys
He
think
didn't
you're funny?
learn how to
You guys,
squat.
you guys have-
Squatted upside
Do you
down.
have any idea who you're making fun of right now? Backpack. Why am I covered in water before going to the mosque?
Ah, backpack, magic backpack. I'm the Mega the Mac attack backpack. With this sack, reacts, I'm like a maniac. I got stacks of facts to keep you all on track.
Welcome to Dennis's School of Islamic Instruction. Sahih al-Bukhari, number 232, narrated Aisha, I used to wash the semen off the clothes of the Prophet, and even then I used to notice one or more spots on them. So even after she washes all the semen off his clothes, she'd still find one or more spots of semen on there. Wait for it. Number 230, narrated Sulaiman bin Yasser. I asked Aisha about the clothes soiled with semen. She replied, I used to wash it off the clothes of Allah's messenger, and he would go for the salat, prayer, while water spots were still visible. So Aisha would wash the semen off him so he could go to the mosque for prayer, and he would have water all over him from washing off all the semen. That's exactly what I'm doing, and you guys are making fun of me.
So those are water spots.
These are water spots from washing off all the semen.
Where did you get all the semen from?
How much
From all
water
the
did
mutzah.
you use?
From all the mutzah.
How could you get it from the muta? Because the Prophet specifically said, no coitus interruptus.
Okay, first off, you're supposed to park the car in the garage. You don't pull the car out of the garage.
We finish what we start in Islam. So again, I asked you, where did you get all the semen?
Prophet didn't have to explain himself, neither do I.
Can you believe that? Can you believe him? What's wrong with
This is
this?
the sources.
Freaking beard off your face.
My Sunnah beard! Let go my Leia! Let go!
I knew it was fake! I knew it was fake!
All right, so now that everyone's seen the sources very clearly and we've discussed them and examined the Muslim responses, you see, that's the problem, right? Hey, I'm not going to explain to you why I'm covered in semen. By the way, I just caught for the first time what Jon said, because we're all kind of talking over each other. Guys, just so you know, there were some scenes of Islamicize Me where we were actually scripted, and there were others where we would just kind of have a scenario and we would just improv, right? But Jon, when you say, did you pee your dress, right? I'd heard that before, but then, because we're all talking over each other, you go, were you squatting up? Were you squatting while standing on your head? Right. So
I didn't even hear what I said either there. I was curious. That's
no,
fine.
I just caught it for the first time right there. So guys, if you earlier in Islamicize Me, we had Muhammad's command to squat while peeing. You have to squat while peeing, and then we run into problems peeing on our shoes and stuff like that while trying to squat and pee. And so Jon soils his shoes, and I pee all over Vocab's bathroom floor as we try to. And by the way, that's based on a true story too. When I made a video about Muhammad's command that men have to pee while squatting, and there's a hadith that even people in Arabia were saying, look at your prophet, he pees like a girl. And so he commanded all his followers to do it as well. And so then it just became normal. But Someone said to me, he said, yes, I had converted to Islam, and they told me I had to pee like that, and I had to pee after a football game once, and I messed up my Nikes, and so that was kind of based on a true story, but yeah. So John's joke was, were you squatting upside down if you soaked your dress there? Anyway, wow.
Oh, Alan Rule is saying that when we did the freestyle, that we mentioned that, like when I was rapping.
You mentioned what?
About the stains being covered all over. I think he's right. Remember the first time we did Dawa out on the corner?
Mm-hmm.
I think during the freestyle, I said something about him being covered.
Oh yeah,
covered.
yeah. That's because that clip was supposed to be before that, right?
Oh,
that clip was
yeah.
supposed to be used then, and I didn't have it. And then when I finally got the SD card, I said, okay, well, this is just us about to go to the mosque. Well, there's still more scenes where there's still another scene, because this was towards the end. There was still another scene where we're going to be heading to the mosque. But again, it was overexposed and so on. And it didn't quite fit because we had a separate introduction to that. We were watching like Halal Hogan and stuff like that. And it kind of didn't fit right in the middle of that. It didn't fit right to, hey, okay, let's go to the mosque. And then that scene, it didn't flow well together.
Are you going to upload the deleted video to your channel?
Eventually, when the people who are in it tick us off. Which one do you mean?
No.
You mean this one?
I got you. I'm talking about what we showed tonight. Are you going to do a standalone upload?
Well, it's right here. I would probably add some commentary on it to to explain it, but yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're able to give it to me, I don't know if I could upload it. I'd like to upload it also standalone.
Yeah,
I could maybe make a little introduction to it or something.
Yeah, you could do it
that.
and just put the put the hadiths on there. Yeah, I was planning on taking the clip out of this of us discussing it and putting it up, but I thought it was going to be like a 5-minute discussion, and it's been like an hour and who knows how long, all on this.
Hour and a half.
Slada said, I think David is the backpack voice. That is true.
Yep, you did a great job.
Yeah, I adjusted the pitch and stuff to make myself sound different. But yep, that was me.
Remind people about the merch you've got with the backpack on it and stuff.
Oh yeah, for those who didn't see my update the other day, there's a link in the description box where we've got some merch, and one of the things you can order is a T-shirt with the backpack on the back of it, so it looks like you're actually carrying the backpack, and on the front it's got the backpack song for you fans of Islamicize Me. So that's the kind of just fun, goofy T-shirt, but I have some others where actually have some apologetics and stuff like that. All right. Should we go to another clip and then wrap it up?
Yes.
All right. So here's the situation. I wanted to show basically my favorite blooper. People were asking about the favorite videos. I got my favorite blooper, and why I say this is like, I can laugh and that's funny, things like that, and then I can really sort of laugh a lot, like when we were just talking about Muhammad and the various explanations that people try to give. But it's very rare for me to just completely lose it and be cracking up and my head turns red. And we have one of those where that happens. So I'm going to go ahead and show the original scene, what appeared in the video, and then I'll show the blooper where I just completely lost it, thanks to Vocab. So, all right. So this is the original scene as it appeared, and this is some nasty stuff. And you Muslims who are talking about cleanliness and hygiene, maybe you can explain this one to us. Let's go ahead and see the original scene here. So this appeared in an episode of Islamicize Me.
Hey, you got any napkins?
Napkins.
Yeah, clean my fingers.
Napkins. You want to see what the backpack has to say about that?
Oh, okay, yeah. Backpack. How do we clean our fingers?
Backpack, magic backpack. I'm the Mega the Mac attack backpack. With this sack, reacts, I'm like a maniac. I got stacks of facts to keep you all on track.
Ready to read them and weep? Sahih al-Bukhari, 54:56. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said, when you eat, Do not wipe your hands till you have licked it or had it licked by somebody else. Sahih Muslim 5294. It was narrated that Ibn Abbas said, the Messenger of Allah said, when one of you eats some food, let him not wipe his hand until he has licked it or had it licked. You either lick your own hand or you have someone else lick it. Sahih Muslim 5300. It was narrated from Jabir that the Prophet enjoined licking one's fingers and wiping the plate. And he said, you do not know in which part the blessing is. Do you see now? Do you see what's going on here? Allah has hidden a blessing somewhere in your food, and if there's food still on your fingers, even if it's grease or something like that, that could be the part where the blessing is hid. So you don't wipe your hands, wiping away your blessing until you've licked it, making sure that you get the blessing, or having someone else lick it, making sure they get the blessing.
We got a lot of grease on these hands, so I guess there's a lot of blessing.
And finally, Sahih Muslim 5303, it was narrated that Jabir said, I heard the Prophet say, the shaitan, Satan, is present with any one of you in all his affairs, and he is even present with him when he eats. If one of you drops a morsel, let him remove any dirt on it, then eat it. Get it? Even if you drop your food on the ground, let him remove any dirt on it, then eat it, and not leave it for the shaitan. And when he is finished, let him lick his fingers, for he does not know in which part of his food the blessing is. So it all makes perfect sense. Allah hides a blessing in your food. You don't want Satan to get the blessing, which is what will happen if you drop it on the floor. So you just wipe the dirt off it, you eat the food, and then you get the blessing that's in the food. And if you don't want it, you just give it to someone else. This all makes perfect sense. I don't know why you have some sort of problem with this. So lick your fingers or have someone else lick it so that someone, instead of Satan, gets the blessing.
So you want some of this blessing? You want this blessing? You want my blessing? Do it! Do it! Do it! Yeah, lick that blessing. Eat that blessing all up. Get that green part of the blessing. Get that brown, crunchy part of that blessing. Blessing tastes good. Blessing is straight from Allah. Oh my, that is a blessing. If I've ever seen a blessing. He's blessed. You feel blessed, bro?
You know, some people would be completely grossed out by that, but if you think it's gross to suck on another person's dirty fingers, you're basically saying that the Prophet himself was a gross, disgusting person, and I, for one, would never say something like that.
Yeah, you know, sometimes to get that blessing, you gotta eat that messing.
All right, so that was the scene there. Pretty nasty. Vocab, why don't you tell John? I think while we were recording that, were you upstairs, like with I think you were up there going live with Robert Spencer or something. When we were recording
I was live with Robert Spencer at that time.
Yeah, so there was for the scenes where you don't see John in them, it's because John would actually be going live on his channel with Robert. So me and Vocab would be like, okay, what can we actually do without John while he's doing that? But that scene right there. So Vocab, tell everyone how we did that little scene there.
Right, I still have people that think that actually went down the way it appears.
No.
There are people that still think it went down that way. But if you watch closely, and I think I showed this in my backstage commentary for this day, everybody, but you can actually see the trick. But what we did is, if you notice, if you watch all of Islamicize Me, my character, Giovanni, never has on any jewelry of distinctive notice. But on that specific scene, I'm sitting there with a watch and a couple of rings on. And the reason that we did that is David said, well, to make it look like there's going to be continuity of the hand, you wear this. And then when I actually put my own hand in my mouth, which that's what you did. We cut, and it's a close-up. The hand is yours. And if a person looks closely, they can tell a little bit. we kind of had to darken your hand.
Yeah.
And then you put on my garment, which had no stains on it, by the way. You put on my garment, and you put on my jewelry. And it's kind of a little behind the scene things. In the process of trading out the rings, we dropped one in the couch and spent like 20 minutes looking for it in the couch, and it was gone. So we just had to get a different ring. By the way, I found that thing. I don't remember if you guys remember. I sent you a picture.
Yeah,
I
you
found
mentioned
it much later. Yeah. So anyways, it's your hand going into your own mouth with my jewelry and my garment just on your arm, and I'm just watching. I'm not involved with that in any way, but you did a great job.
Yeah.
Very convincing.
Well, even the thought of it was disgusting. So everyone, just to be clear, notice that the camera angle changes, right? We have a wide shot with Vocab, and he puts his hand right in front of my mouth. And then, so what we did there was, once he had his finger right in front of my mouth, I said, freeze. And we froze there. And then we kind of had to see exactly what position his hand was in. Vocab took that garment off, and we put the sleeve over my hand and put the jewelry on and stuff like this. Got my hand in exactly the same position, and then so I was sucking on my own fingers. But even the thought of it was of sucking on someone's fingers was nasty. And notice, everyone who's grossed out by that, that's what Muhammad commanded. Muhammad commanded, right? If you either have to lick your own fingers or you have to have someone else lick your fingers for you so that Satan doesn't get the blessing off there. So that is some nasty, nasty stuff. Anyway, as I was pointing out earlier, some scenes were actually scripted. Most scenes were not scripted. Most scenes we kind of had, okay, we want to get to this hadith, but we would do some improv. And so for this one, I knew what I was going to say. I was going to say basically, hey, if you're condemning me, then you're condemning, Muhammad. If you say that this is nasty, if you say that this sucking on someone's fingers after he's eating fried chicken is nasty and disgusting, you're basically calling Muhammad nasty and disgusting. And I would never say that sort of thing. And then so, but the idea is, I had an idea of what I was going to say, but it's basically improv. And then it was basically Vocab. You have to say something at the end. And so Vocab just improv'd what he was going to say. And we'll see in this blooper that I just lost it. So the scene was ruined. We actually had a couple of scenes that were just ruined because I would crack up laughing. So here is here was the first attempt at that scene. Outtake.
Do it. Got it? Oh, we're gonna do that. Yeah. We got to cut right back to him, right? So freeze it there to see if you can see exactly where my hand is.
Let me see if I can do a freeze frame.
How nasty was that? But if you say it's gross to suck on another person's fingers, you're basically saying that the prophet was a gross, disgusting person, and I would never say that.
Sometimes to get that blessing, you gotta eat that messing.
Can we just fade it out quick enough?
No,
we can fade it like.
No. You laugh way too fast.
Did I?
We gotta do it again. I changed it a little bit.
Yeah, it was blessing mess.
Which makes it even more funny. Okay, we gotta get right again. Okay,
Is he gonna say?
All right, so that actually happened a couple times, but now you know the sort of thing that will actually crack me up. Something just totally stupid and unexpected, because I wasn't expecting that. Anyway, so that's we should probably be wrapping it up here pretty soon. But guys, if there are any comments you'd like to address, so yeah, that was. And a lot of people picked up on that too, without even seeing the blooper. People were that became a line for a little while. To get that blessing, you got to eat that messing.
Yeah, everybody's been putting it in the comments too for the last half hour or so too.
Yeah. Hey, lots of people are saying disgusting and gross. I'm scrolling through. I'm looking for the comments from our Muslim friend who's talking about cleanliness, Islamic cleanliness, and Muhammad's talking about picking up food off the floor and eating it. He's talking about sucking on other people's fingers. Now keep in mind, guys, this is the same prophet who's constantly covered in semen, and he's like, you guys gotta lick the food off my fingers. Because, you can't let Satan steal the blessing. And you're sitting there licking Muhammad's fingers, sucking on Muhammad's fingers. And this is the guy who can't stop being covered in semen, and his followers are telling us it's because he's too poor to have a rag to even clean himself. So it's clear that how clean is he? How clean are his hands here? Pretty nasty stuff. All right, any comments you guys want to respond to before we head out?
Someone said, "Stop quoting fabricated hadiths to try to fool Muslims."
Is that a Muslim saying that?
I'm assuming, yeah.
Hamad Makbul.
Tell him to explain what his background is, because if he's pulling a Shia move or something like that, that's fine. But again, okay, here's the comment. So Hamad, you said stop quoting fabricated hadiths, stop trying to fool educated Muslims. Let us know if you were joking, right? If you're a troll, you're joking or something like that. Or if you're serious, if you are serious, tell us on what basis we are to throw out these hadiths. Are you saying that Sunni hadiths cannot be trusted? Because then we're back to the same problem as earlier, namely Muslims attacking their own sources, saying that the hadiths were written by liars. And if that's the case, great. Your prophet produced generations of liars, and that we just can't know anything about him because all he produced are liars. So if that's your position, let us know. And I'm looking for any sort of response here. But guys, I mean, what do you think of that? Everyone's posting, oh, nasty, gross. I mean, serious. That's Islam, right? That's Muhammad. Surah 4, verse 65. You Muslims who are here, Surah 4, verse 65 of the Quran. Read it. It says, you can have no real faith until you make Muhammad judge in all disputes and accept his decisions, and you have no resistance in yourself against his decisions. So when your prophet says, hey, you need to suck on people's fingers, if you have any resistance in yourself, if you say, no, I'm not doing that, you're not even a real Muslim, according to the Quran. You have no real faith, according to the Surah 4, verse 65. I gave it. Look it up.
Hey, this guy says that in defense of that, he says, I think it's more on the side of don't waste food. That's what Muhammad was getting at by saying lick fingers.
He said what?
He said, I think it's more on the side of don't waste food. He's saying that's what explains those passages.
No. You could say don't waste food. No, guys, you need to take notice. Even Muslims don't take. Well, first he said fabricated hadiths. Well, which one is it? Is it fabricated hadith? Someone made it up, or is it Muhammad trying to get the message across not to waste food? Notice Muhammad. I mean, if you say it's fabricated hadiths, then great, we're throwing out all your hadiths, because, I mean, all you guys ever say is, well, no, that's all just made up. And so great. The people who are preserving the Quran during this time, the Muslim leaders, the Muslim scholars, are a bunch of liars. That's what you're telling us. So they're great. Therefore, we cannot know anything about your prophet. Again, we do not have your prophet standing before us. The only way we can learn anything about him is by looking at what other people said about him. But you're telling us that the people who talked about him are the biggest bunch of liars and fabricators the world has ever seen. Great. Then we can't know anything about your prophet. So that's one thing. The other thing. So if you're saying that they're hadith, that they're fabricated, fine. If your new explanation is that it's just saying don't waste food, notice what Muhammad says, right? He doesn't say, guys, don't throw away food, right? Food is hard to come by. And there are starving people in the world. There are hungry people. Set a good example and eat all your food. Make sure you finish your dinner. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that Allah has hidden a blessing inside your food somewhere. Some particle has a blessing by Allah. And if you throw out something, even if you drop something on the floor, or if you wipe your hand on a napkin or something and you throw that away, what you don't realize is maybe the little particle or maybe the grease that you wiped off and threw away, that might have been the part with the blessing, and Satan is going to come, gobble it up, and Satan's getting your blessing. If that's a way of saying, guys, finish your food, Muhammad is the worst communicator of all time. That is a horrible, horrible way to say that. Because keep in mind, he's giving And if you go to a Muslim scholar, if you go to a serious Muslim scholar, say, hey, do we actually need to believe that Allah has hidden a blessing in our food and that Satan will gobble it up if we throw any part out, and therefore we need to suck on people's fingers to try and get that blessing? They will say, yes, you have to believe all that. You don't get to say, oh, he didn't really mean any of that, and it's just a general kind of principle about finishing your supper. You don't get to say that as a Muslim, right? You're claiming you know more than your prophet. No serious Muslim scholar would ever say something like that. So notice, guys, what we're doing. Muslims are trying their hardest to rescue their prophet from these things. And what do they keep doing? No, it can't be that. Oh, it can't be that. It can't be that. Guys, this is what your sources say. Where are you getting your information from? You're not getting your information from the sources because all you do is throw out your sources. So where's your information come from? You can't trust your sources. You can't trust the hadiths. You can't trust those. They're written by a bunch of liars. Where are you getting your information? You're getting it from your mom and dad and from your imam. Where did they get their information from? It couldn't have been from the sources. You don't believe in your sources. So, and anything you don't like, you can just say, he didn't really mean that. He just meant, don't throw out your food because you don't waste food. What are you doing here? What? Should we believe in your semen-covered prophet or not? Right? Keep in mind, guys, this is so disturbing. This is like one of the most disturbing things I can imagine. A guy who's constantly covered in semen and got his wife scratching it off and scraping it off with her hands and trying to cover him up. This guy goes and sits down for a meal and says, hey, suck my fingers. Are you joking? This guy who squats while he pees all over the place, who wipes himself with rocks, these 3 rocks, and is covered in semen and running around from wife to wife and sopping up the semen with his clothes. This guy finishes his falafel and says, here, suck on my fingers. Get that blessing. You want that blessing? This is your prophet. Are you serious? Are you serious? Wow. All right. Any other comments you guys want to respond to?
No, nothing that I see. What about you, Cab?
That messing. Just looking at the comments.
I think Sunday night I might also do a live stream where I reflect on Islamicize Me. I think I'm going to do this too because I can talk about other stuff besides what we just talked about tonight.
Oh, there's plenty. We could. I mean,
no, it was.
You could go live all month long talking about talking about that stuff.
I just want to do one a little more covering some other topics as well as all. Somebody was asking for the mosque bloopers. I just dropped them in the live chat. They're actually on my channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Austin says, David, could you please put together a pocket-sized guidebook with all the ridiculous verses and useful verses from the Quran that either contradict or disprove Islam or help prove Christianity? Notice I think it was yesterday, I posted a video where I said people could download a track, and that's because I've made several tracks over the years, but they're pretty, it's got some dense information there, so a lot of sources and stuff. So I have those. I have probably 6 or 7 tracks that I've made over the years, but I'm going to be posting. I posted a couple. I'm going to be posting some more of those. But yeah, it is a good idea for some. I don't want to sell it as a book, but it would be good to have a little, downloadable, something people could download and just, hey, here are the issues you'll want to bring up. Hey,
people asked also if I washed my hands afterwards, not because they were in your mouth, because that was your own hand, but because I was imitating that I was picking my nose before. And again, I think some people when they first watched it didn't understand why does this dude have his hand on his nose? Obviously, it was to make the scene gross as possible, and because hypothetically we're showing the kind of things that could happen if you have to put someone else's fingers in your mouth. They don't have to have picked their nose right before, but they hypothetically could have,
Yep.
And so I was doing that just to make it extra gross. So yes, the minute the scene was over, I did wash my hands, and I believe David did as well.
Yeah, and really, I mean, that's kind of the problem. If your prophet is advocating sucking on other people's fingers, you do not know what that person has been doing. Right? You just do not know. Especially when we talk about, this is the same guy, dunk your flies, drink your camel pee, have semen all over you. It's good. It's what your prophet does. And then this is like, hey, we have no objections to cleanliness. Remember the Muslim said that? Where are you getting this from? Right? Belinda here says, have you ever talked about the hadiths where Muhammad talks about black dogs and dogs in general? What do you think, guys? Have we ever talked about the hadiths about Muhammad and dogs? Yeah.
Is that you, Mr. Scruffles, from the grave?
He's actually in here. Let me see if I can.
Yeah. Belinda, you should go ahead and watch Islamicize Me. You can make it through. You can make it through the entire series in probably under 2 hours, something like that. I'm not exactly sure about the length of the series. Might be longer, might be a little shorter. But day 9 of Islamicize Me, I believe, is when we deal with Vocab's dog. Where is he? Is he here?
I'm trying to get him on camera.
There he is.
Can you guys see him?
That dog died a horrible, bloody death. A horrible, bloody death on day number 2. I mean, day number 9 of Islamicize Me.
Yeah, he's a good boy, though. He's a good boy. He's a good puppy, huh? He's getting older, guys. I'm scared for the day he really does die. Not because I'll murder him, just because, he'll die of old age.
How old is he? How old you say he was?
Yeah, he's like 10 years old at this point. Anyways.
Oh, that is really old.
Just showing the dog.
Wow.
Hey, everyone, subscribe to Jon McCray's channel and my channel, too.
Oh, yeah, guys. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up now. But we have in the description box, for those of you who want some merch, there's a link to that. There's a link to the entire series, so the full playlist of Islamicize Me, all the days. And yes, Belinda, there's plenty of information about dogs and a variety of other topics. And a lot of people are mentioning their favorite episodes over here. But also, yeah, everyone who's not subscribed to Vocab or Jon's channel, you want to go there. They both put out their own content. Vocab focuses mainly on doing live streams, but he gets guests on there to talk about various topics and dealing with Islam, the Hebrew Israelites, and so on. So if you like live streams, and I assume you do because you're watching this live stream, then you want to get on there. Jon deals, with atheism and so on, but he tends to make shorter videos, deals with biblical issues, objections to the Bible, things like that. So you'll want to subscribe there. And guys, so both their channels, the links to them are in the description box. Guys, why don't you tell us what you're working on in the near future?
I'll start. So right now, I'm actually filming a documentary on the existence of Jesus and how it changed the world. And so it talks about the impact that Christianity had on the world too. So I'm doing that right now. I'm also working on a couple of things. Working on a long series on logical fallacies, and I'm also preparing to do some more response videos to a lot of popular atheist videos. So that's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. What about you, Cap?
Well, by God's grace, I got together with our buddy Con Man Mike is what we call him. He's a content manager with the channel. And we made something I've never had the whole time I've been on YouTube, which is a channel introduction. And so now we've got a channel intro. It is a little bit longer than the shorter channel intros, but it's really, really good. I am so happy at the way it turned out. It's simply called Why I Do What I Do. And it has a much different tone than a lot of stuff I've done. It's serious, more sentimental, in a sense. I don't want to say emotional, but it has a different kind of serious, kind of heartfelt, just less on the comedy and intensity and all that. Very just kind of earnest, authentic, chill vibe. But it turned out really well, and I think it'll open a lot of people's eyes. And it's going live. It's going to premiere tomorrow. So you definitely want to watch it. Look for the video on the channel, Why I Do What I Do. I think it's going to be a really helpful little video when people see it. And so that's tomorrow. So that's the big thing I have coming up.
Mm-hmm. You also have something else coming up, Vocab, namely the series that we're about to start filming. And that's, Vocab, you didn't know. So I asked people in the comment section of a video where I gave the gist of it, and I was asking for titles for the series, and someone said Muhammad's Boom Boom Room because he's blowing everyone up. Right? Everyone who disagrees with him, he blows them up. So yeah, Vocab and I are about to. I just can't. Check this out, David. What do you think about the skintific miracles in the Quran? And this is serious. This is serious. The skintific miracles in the Quran. So. Guys, this is why we do it. What what scientific miracles in the Quran are you referring to? Are you referring to Surah 18, verse 86, where Alexander the Great, Dhul Qarnayn, travels so far west, he finds the place where the sun sets, and he finds that the sun sets in a murky pool? Are you talking about the Quran's claim that semen forms between the backbone and the ribs? That semen forms here. No, notice, how's Muhammad getting it all over himself? It forms here. What's going on? Is it squirting out his back? What's it doing? Right. So what are you talking about? Are you talking about the Quran's repeated claims that stars are missiles that Allah uses to shoot demons when they try to sneak into paradise, and that when you see a shooting star, it's because Allah hurled a star at a demon? So when you see a shooting star, that's an actual star that Allah has hurled at a demon for trying to sneak into paradise to listen to what he's saying. Are those the scientific miracles that you're referring to? Because yeah, I'm really impressed by those. You'll never in your entire life find any sort of cosmologist or any sort of scientist who will tell you that yes, when you see a shooting star, which is a rock that hit the atmosphere and it makes a streak across the sky, that's actually a star, a real star that Allah has used to hurl at a demon. You'll never find anyone, but that's why we need Muhammad to come along and tell us, wow, this is real science.
A good article Sam Shamoon wrote Answering Islam, which is the Quran on semen production, which you mentioned, which is relevant tonight and relevant to the question they just asked. And I think when you see it, it says proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs, Surah 86, 5-7. And right before it says, now let men but think from what he has created. He's created from a drop emitted. And then it says proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs. And there's other translations. They basically all say the same thing, which is anatomically incorrect. Just in case everyone's wondering.
Yeah, and when you actually incorporate what we find in the Hadith, Muhammad couldn't be more wrong about anything than he actually was. Just so you know, when you actually put together the Quran and the Hadith to get Muhammad's picture of the world, here's what you have, ladies and gentlemen. At the bottom of everything is this giant fish, right? This giant fish, or sometimes a whale. Stacked on top of that fish or whale are 7 earths, which are all flat, and they're stacked up like pancakes, except that there's some space in between them. There's a space of a 500-year journey. By the way, that's in the Quran too, that there are these 7 earths, and that they're all flat. So you have these 7 earths stacked up like pancakes, except there's a 500-year journey in between each of them. Then you get to the sort of top earth. That's our earth, and the sun is this little tiny thing that can go and set in a muddy spring way out west. You can get there. There are, according to the Quran, people who live there. The heavens are like these 7 domes that Allah holds up with these pillars that you can't see. And so these things would actually fall on us if Allah weren't miraculously holding them up. You have the stars, which again are missiles that Allah uses to hurl at demons. And then above all that, you have these 7 or 8 giant donkeys or mountain goats or something like that, but they're as tall as the heavens. And above that, you have Allah's throne. Now tell me, what did Muhammad get right there? Apart from the fact that there is a sun and there is a moon and there are stars, he didn't get anything right. So Muhammad didn't even get anything right that any 6-year-old walking around couldn't have told you, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing with human reproduction. According to Muhammad, here's how human reproduction works. Men have their semen. It forms between the backbone and the ribs. But women also have semen. And when they have sex, the two semens mix together. And whichever one rises to the surface, that determines the sex of the child. And so at first, there's a blood clot stage. Humans, embryos begin as a blood clot. Then they become bones. Then those bones are covered with flesh. Then Allah decides whether it's going to be male or female, even though that was already decided long ago. And then the child is born. Again, apart from semen actually having something to do with human reproduction, what did Muhammad get right? Nothing. This is the miracle. These are the miracles of Islam. Wow.
Hey, our boy Apostate Prophet's in the house.
What is he?
Man? Yeah, he said, what about the miracle of the sun sinking in the muddy spring? He doesn't want to mention it because the Quran is right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's what you have to say, right? If you really believe that, guys, if you really believe that, you have to. Oh, by the way, I was on with the apostate prophet yesterday, and this atheist was on there, and he said it was funny because we were talking about completely different things, but the atheists always want to just start. What about God? And they start trolling. And one of them said, "God isn't real, children." And so I said, well, all you have to do is say it in a super chat. God isn't real. So all I would need to do is say in a super chat, God is real, children, and that would be it. But I didn't have my wallet on me, and I don't remember the code on the back that I have to enter whenever I do a super chat. And so so I couldn't give them that zinger, and I had opportunity after opportunity when they were saying these things in the super chat. And I wanted to actually bolt out of there and grab my wallet. Anyway.
Did you take the money to go spread the gospel?
Well, that was on Apostate Prophet's channel.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
All right. Anything else before we head out here?
Shout out to the Street Apologist Squad members in the house. I'm trying to give you guys all a shout out. I see a bunch of you, so shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, we should go ahead and wrap up here. Oh yeah, people are pointing out more interesting scientific claims. But guys, do you notice? Do you notice the problems here? Do you notice the problems? It's hey, Muhammad is the greatest pattern of conduct who's ever lived. You say, okay, why did he have sex with a 9-year-old girl? Oh no, he didn't really have sex with a 9-year-old girl. All the sources are wrong. Why is he always covered with semen? Oh no. We shouldn't ask those kinds of questions. What about why did he take the wife of his own adopted son? Why would he do that? Oh, he had to do that. Or maybe the sources can't be trusted. Oh, it's in the Quran. Oh, yeah, must be a really good explanation. Why would he have sex with 9 or 11 women and girls in the same night? That sounds like a sex addict. Well, it's halal. He's allowed to do it. Why wouldn't he do it? I'm asking what if this is the pattern of conduct. So notice, and then they make the claim, and then they retreat from everything we can possibly learn about this guy. It's the same thing. What about all the scientific miracles in the Quran? Oh, let's look at it. The Quran is actually a scientific catastrophe. Well, David, you're not reinterpreting all of those things. You know that we have to reinterpret all of those things. When it says that the sun sets in a muddy pool, it doesn't mean that. It just means it kind of looks like that if you're watching a sunset and you see a reflection. Oh, really? What about the hadith when Muhammad specifically says that the sun sets in a muddy pool? What about that? Oh, well, that hadith is false. It was fabricated. But Muslims are a bunch of liars. That's how it works. This is the religion that you're telling us to convert to, ladies and gentlemen. This is the best that Allah could do. Wow. All right. Should we go ahead and close out with that? All right. Final thoughts, John?
Yeah, no final thoughts for me. If you guys haven't watched the series, go watch the series because it's dope and it's funny. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Mm-hmm. People definitely gotta watch it. We gotta let them know. I mean, it's epic. You're missing out. Mm-hmm. There's a version on my Facebook page, but I just recommend just checking it out on David's YouTube page. You gotta watch the series. Start with the prologue and go all the way through to the epilogue. Mm-hmm. You will not be disappointed, although you might be grossed out sometimes. No doubt about that. But it's very unique in the history of apologetics. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. All right, and just so everyone knows, we intend to make a prequel to that series. We haven't gotten around to it. But the prequel, notice that for those of you who watched Islamicize Me, we start off as atheists at the beginning of that series. And we're starting off. So the prequel will be how we became sort of Dawkins fans type atheists. And by the way, the apostate prophet, who is an atheist, is going to be in there, but he's like a nice atheist, right? Friendly atheist. And so that one he'll be like the voice of reason telling us to be, nice atheists, and we will eventually reject that and become more aggressive. Anyway, that will lead up to Islamicize Me, and then sometime later we'll have the sequel to Islamicize Me, where we are all Christians, but we're apostates, and so you don't know who's coming after us, right? You don't know if the Mad Sheikh or any of the other guys that we met in that series are going to be coming after us, but we're gonna get it done, Lord willing. And so I believe I will be going, just so everyone knows, I'll be going live again on Thursday. I'll be with Pastor George Sayeg.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we're going to have Pastor George.
awesome.
Going to have Pastor George on here. For those of you who don't know who that is, we actually did a fundraiser for him. Because Vocab, why don't you say a few words about Pastor George and why we did a fundraiser for him?
Really, David, the whole way we met is through Pastor George, and you're not the only person. There are so many people. I would have to take off my shoes and socks to begin to count the amount of people that I know that Pastor George is directly connected me to, and I'm not the only one. My point by that is George totally unites this sort of underground, kind of rough, cutting edge of a lot of Christian apologetics, especially when dealing with Islam. And that's not all he does. He is on the front lines on a regular basis himself, as in weekly, and he's been doing this for years. He's come up with a lot of innovative ways to reach Muslims that I don't think have been tried or done before. And a lot of people have learned from those and then imitated him in different cities, some of those aspects. And then he does regular trainings in California, but actually all over the country and really even the world, where he's constantly training Christians about how to reach Muslims, the doctrine of it. And then he's also set up debates all over, again, from the UK to the United States, debates with top Christian apologists and top Muslim apologists. So, I mean, the list of what George does and how he does it is ever expansive. And I mean, he was involved with the Dearborn stuff.
Yep.
They got arrested and he beat the city of Dearborn. I mean, the list goes on, and you will never meet a more humble, kind, gentle, just loving, beautiful man than George Saig. I mean, I can't say enough about him. And everyone doesn't know his name sort of in the limelight, but if you're involved behind the scenes, everyone knows who he is because of what he does and just how faithful he is on a regular basis, him and his family.
Yeah, so one problem I've always seen George have is for a guy who does nonstop traveling, going to mosques, bringing resources to mosques. I've never seen him in a reliable vehicle. So I just made a quick video, asked people, hey, if you want to do something, let's all chip in and get this guy a decent, reliable truck. And there was a reason for it. A ministry had donated a trailer for him to haul his supplies around, but he didn't have a truck. He didn't have a truck to haul the trailer. So I said, wait, why don't we all kick in? And people like gave massively over what I'd asked for to get this guy a reliable truck. And anyway, he got an awesome brand new 2019 truck that he's going to be using to haul. So anyway, I'm gonna get George on this Thursday, talk about his ministry and what he does. Should be awesome. I'll go ahead and close out with this from Abdul Rahman. The Quran is unchanged. The Bible is. What do you say about that? I don't know what you mean by the Bible is. So if you're agreeing with me that the Bible is, that is the position of the Quran. According to the Quran, no one can change the Torah and the Gospel because they're Allah's words. The Quran says, Surah 18, verse 27, Surah 6, verse 115, no one can change Allah's words. Surah 3, verses 3 to 4 say that the Torah and the Gospel are Allah's words. So according to the Quran, no one can change the Torah or the Gospel or the Quran. And that's why Jews are commanded to judge by the Torah, not by the Quran, in the Quran. Surah 5, verse 43. Christians are commanded to judge by the gospel, not by the Quran. That's Surah 5, verse 47. People of the book, Jews and Christians, are told, Surah 5, verse 68, that we can have no ground to stand upon unless we stand fast by the Torah, the gospel, and all the revelation that has come down to us. So, according to the Quran, our Christian and Jewish scriptures are as good as gold. Amen to that. So I agree with you. The Bible's unchanged. But if you're saying the Quran is unchanged, here, I don't know what you're talking about because your own sources. I'm talking about Sahih Muslim, Sahih al-Bukhari, your main sources. Talk about entire chapters of the Quran coming up missing. That's in Sahih Muslim. Abu Musa, he met a group of Quran reciters who came after him. And he said, don't harden your hearts as we did. And we forgot 2 entire chapters. He said one of the chapters was as long as Surah 9, and they forgot it. And he gives an example of a verse that was in it. And that verse is not in the Quran. Why? Because the chapter was forgotten by Muslims. So what do you mean the Quran has been unchanged? 2 entire chapters came up missing. Not just that, large passages came up missing. Aisha said that 2/3, more than 100 verses, were lost from Surah 33 of the Quran. She said, Surah 33, check out Surah 33. Aisha said that the verse contains 200 verses. Check it out. Check out how many verses are in Surah 33 now. So you have that. You have individual verses coming up missing. Right, individual verses like the verse of stoning, the verses of breastfeeding an adult. Those are not in the Quran. Read your hadith. They're supposed to be in the Quran. They were revealed as Quran. They were recited as Quran. What happened? According to Sunan Ibn Majah, According to Sunan ibn Majah, Aisha said that she had the only copy and a sheep ate it. That's why they're not in the Quran today. This is the book you're saying has been perfectly preserved. Guys, just closing out with this. Have you noticed the pattern here? Muslims make all these claims. Scientific miracles. Muhammad is the greatest moral pattern of conduct ever. Perfect preservation of the Quran. The second we start examining them, it's, oh, we had better throw out all those sources because it contradicts everything we're saying. Wonderful religion here. I'm going to have to say no. No, thank you. All right, thanks everyone, and we will see you next time.
Shalom, y'all. Peace out. Peace out.
Oh, and before I click this button, someone has pointed out that Christian Prince is about to start on his channel, so you've got 2 minutes to go over to, if you want to continue with the live stream. Christian Prince is starting in 2 minutes. Close out with that. All right, catch y'all later.
Timing.